Hey, it's Braden, and I'm joined by three very special guests, and this is...
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me you built a time machine? My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. Help, sleep, murder.
Absolutely.
Gobsmack.
So, if you listeners recall, the first episode we went over The Wizard of Oz, and so I was able to pull a few strings, and we have joining with us three Oompa Loompas.
I'm going to try not to be offended by that.
Who are going to talk about their experience on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, actually, and their abuse behind scenes. So go ahead and introduce you guys. No, we're joined by the Cinebros. They were kind enough to take the time to come onto the show. You guys want to introduce yourselves, tell people about your show?
Sure. I'm Tyler. I'm kind of the one that makes everything work on the podcast. We are a movie debate podcast, typically. We have episodes where two of us face off and one of us moderate. We debate movies that one of us feels strongly in support of and the other really dislikes. And then at the end, we pick a winner. We also do tangent episodes in between where it's just kind of random. We talk about whatever we want. Our latest episode, we had three of us just telling stories from our time at the movie theater, working at a movie theater. We've done 2 episodes of those now, and I find it pretty funny.
That's cool. So you guys, a couple of you guys have worked in a movie theater?
All of us have worked in a movie
Really?
theater.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that
That's
how
how
you
we
guys
know each
met, or is that the only job available, or you did it because of your love of movies?
That's how we met.
Really?
Well, actually, in Kentucky, you can either be a farmer or you can work at a movie theater. That's your only 2 options.
It's true, actually.
That's accurate, yeah.
So you guys are not the farming type, then?
No.
No, not really.
No, I'm more the master's degree type.
That makes sense. That's really cool. I always wanted to work in a movie theater. The only thing is I heard the manager here at the local theater's not very kind, so...
Yeah. Our manager's awesome.
Really?
Oh, yeah, he's great, yeah.
Yeah, it was all of our first jobs, and I think a movie theater is like the best first job you can possibly have.
Wow. Yeah, my first job was Papa John's, and I regret it.
Oh, were you a driver or?
No, I was stuck in the kitchen.
Oh,
Yeah, and I worked only a couple hours a day, but it felt like an eternity. And
Forever.
I only worked there 3 months, and it felt like it felt like 3 years, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It turned me off to working, and then I got a real job, and I was like, well, it's not so bad. So we have Tyler, and then who else do we have?
We have Luke. That is me, everybody. My name's Luke Smith. I'm a co-host of the podcast along with Ray and Tyler. And I also met these guys through the movie theater. Really awesome first job. Big movie fan. And also I host another video series on our YouTube channel, Cinebros YouTube channel, called 5-Minute Movie Reviews. Come out on Mondays, where I review all kinds of movies, like movies that have already came out, movies that just came out, all kinds of stuff. And it's funny, it's 5 minutes or less is what I say, but it always ends up being like 6 minutes or longer, but oh well, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell, pretty much.
Who else do we have? You said we have Tyler, and we have Luke.
We have Ray. That's me. Co-host with these guys. I don't really have anything else going on right now. I don't have my own series yet, but it is coming soon. But yeah, I'm here. I'm ready to talk about Jurassic Park whenever.
Oh, you spoiled it. Yeah, no. So today...
You can cut it out.
I asked to not have Ray on the show, but you guys insisted. No, I'm kidding. We're going to talk about a classic today. I was looking forward to it. You guys suggested it to me, and I'm like, wow, yeah, that's great. We can do that one. Jurassic Park. It's funny because a lot of the movies we talk about, you don't realize, especially a lot of classics, how involved Steven Spielberg is behind the scenes. Even if he's not directing it, he's either writing it, he's producing it, he's an executive producer. Like, for example, he didn't direct or write the Goonies, but he was a producer, so he was there the whole time.
Yep.
And so it's just, movies like that where he's just involved, and he owns part of DreamWorks. So if you talk about a DreamWorks movie, he's going to be there.
Did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, so we talked about Galaxy Quest, and he was there on scenes some days, filming when they were filming. So it's just crazy how involved and how big of a part that Steven Spielberg has in Hollywood itself. Like, he is the top guy, and this movie is one that he actually was able to direct. A classic, 1993's Jurassic Park. Now, first thing I want to ask you guys is, when was the first time you saw Jurassic Park? Do you remember it?
I was 4 years old.
I would have been very young.
Right.
I can't remember the actual age, but I would have been very young.
See, I saw it a little later. I was like 15 or 16 until I saw it the first time.
Oh,
Really?
Wow. Yeah, I'd heard about it, obviously. I mean, everybody's heard about it, but I was just... And I'd watched Jurassic World first because my friends wanted to go see it, and I was like, sure, I'll
Really?
watch it. And I was like, well, I might as well watch the original one, and it's so much better. Sorry, I don't like Jurassic World very much, but...
Really? Okay.
I like
Oh, I
Jurassic
don't-
World
yeah.
personally.
I think Jurassic World is perfectly fine,
Right.
but it's a completely different type of movie to the original.
Yeah. You're right. And parts I liked about Jurassic World weren't so much necessarily the dinosaurs, but I like the idea of a theme park. Kind of like
Yeah,
a modern,
Yeah.
like a Disney World kind of, but with dinosaurs. I thought that was really cool. But obviously Jurassic Park is, you can't beat it. It's the OG. Now, Luke, being that you saw it when you were older, I think that's a different perspective, because I think most people saw it when they were younger, like me. So, what did you think Jurassic Park was, especially as a young teenager, compared to what it ended up being for you?
Well, I always knew, and I'd seen some clips of it, like online or
Mhm.
on TV or whatever, because it's on TV like all the time. But yeah, so I knew that I knew it had dinosaurs in it, obviously, and I knew that the dinosaurs chase people around, and I thought the whole thing was just people running from dinosaurs. So when I watched it, I was actually kind of relieved to find out that, there's actually like a cool story, and there's a lot of cool like ideas here, about like science and when too far is too far, and like all kinds of cool stuff like that. So I always thought it was just, it's like a cool, entertaining movie with dinosaurs chasing people. But when I watched it, I was like, it's a lot more than that. So
Right.
yeah, I was like pleasantly surprised by it, I think.
Yeah, and that makes sense, because most of the scenes that people are shown or that are advertised are the big action scenes with dinosaurs chasing people. But I don't
Yeah.
know if you guys knew this, but this movie is like over 2 hours long, rightly so. But there's only, there's only only 15 minutes of worth of dinosaurs in this movie.
That's correct. I did know
Really?
that.
So
Hmm.
I
It's
think
crazy.
that's what makes it so good, though. Because if you think about it, if you had dinosaurs throughout the whole movie, I think it would kind of it would kind of get kind of redundant over time. But
See, that's why I don't like any of the sequels or anything. I like The Lost World, and then after that, I'm just not a
right,
fan.
right.
Yeah.
That was the problem I had with Jurassic World. There were just dinosaurs the entire time, and it
Yeah.
kind of lost its impact when one showed up.
Yeah. And I think this isn't the first time Steven Spielberg has done something like this. Now, what I mean by that is you have the same thing with Jaws. Okay. Now, Jaws, the movie's about sharks, right? But there's hardly, it doesn't, the shark, the shark's there, but he doesn't have a lot of screen time. And that's what makes it more of like a thriller or horror movie, is the suspense of the fact that it's coming, you just don't know when. And I think the same thing with Jurassic Park I can appreciate is that there's dinosaurs around, you just don't know when they're going to pop up. And I think that's what's so cool about it,
I think that, because I didn't realize it was just like 15 minutes of dino screen time, but it's kind of neat to hear that, because now it makes me appreciate the pacing a lot more. Because first off, the movie, because you said it's over 2 hours, and it doesn't feel like it goes by.
Right.
It goes by quick. It's paced really well, and I mean, it must be paced well to because you never hear anybody when they talk about it go, "I wish the dinosaurs were in it more." Like everybody pretty much thinks that the dinosaurs were in this movie the perfect amount. So, I mean, I think that's pretty impressive that they managed to get all these memorable scenes to people with dinosaurs with just 15 minutes of screen time. That's crazy. I still can't like. I know I keep talking about it, but I didn't realize that. That's a really neat fact.
Yeah, so I thought that was really, really cool. I want to hear from you guys, though, a little bit. What do you guys know about the movie that you really appreciate?
Personally,
Mm-hmm.
it came out in '93, I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Yeah,
So that was when like CGI technology was in its infancy.
right.
And if you go back and watch like movies from that time period that actually tried to use CGI, they have aged horrendously,
Right.
to the point where they're almost unwatchable. But this movie and Spielberg in general combined very slight amounts of CGI with practical effects to make like it seamless, like it's unnoticeable even today.
Mm-hmm.
The CGI that's in it, I thought that was the thing I appreciate most about it, is it being really the first movie to understand how CGI was meant to work as like a supplement to practical effects. And I know that movies today have moved on like way past that, where like everything's CGI, like a Marvel movie, for example, it's all CGI. But I really like the Jurassic World combined both, and that it's still fairly unnoticeable.
Right, right. And yeah, and I can agree with you there. I also appreciate the amount of practical effects that are
Yeah.
used. They use a lot of animatronics with the dinosaurs, and I know that was a little hard to deal with, especially when that scene where the T Rex first comes out and it's supposed to be raining,
Yeah.
and they have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
I know that the water caused a little bit of problems at times, and
Yeah.
and they had to go and dry it after every time they said cut,
Hmm.
they had to go and blow dry it and use rags and dry it off. That was a big animatronic. I mean, that's a T-Rex. It's huge. I think it's so impressive that they were able to make something like that and make it lifelike. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and like rewatching it now, it still looks great. Like it
Mm-hmm.
looks just as good as it did back then. I think. Like it looks awesome.
Yeah, and a little fun fact here. I mean, the T-Rex ended up being 36 feet long, um,
Wow.
18,
Wow.
18 feet tall. So it was longer than it was tall, and it weighed 12,000 pounds. And so
Golly.
they had to they had to store it somewhere, right, in a house basically, and they had to alter the house just because of how large this T-Rex was. And Stan Winston, who was behind, him and his team were behind a lot of those special effects and things like that, the animatronics. The closest thing he had done to doing something that big was he did the 14-foot tall alien queen for the Aliens sequel,
Yeah.
but nothing like this. This was just new territory, I think, overall in the movie industry. This movie truly is groundbreaking. You know what I mean? Like it set the precedent for CGI, for like Tyler mentioned, and for animatronics, and just for dinosaur movies in general.
Yeah, I think that this movie and Jaws, which was also made by Steven Spielberg, really really defined what like the modern summer blockbuster is.
100%. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they at the time of both of these movies coming out, they both broke numerous box office records,
Yes.
which is crazy to think about. You think about the movies nowadays. I just want to go into the numbers real quick. Nothing specific, but now you have Avatar and Titanic and the Avengers movies, right? And
Yep.
and those are like the cream of the crop when it comes to making money. Back then, obviously the list was a little different. One of our latest episodes, we talked about Home Alone, and
Mhm.
Home Alone ended up being moving itself. It was so successful and ended up in the top 3 all time, along with Star
Golly.
Wars and E.T., which is another Steven Spielberg movie. So I mean, Steven Spielberg's the king of blockbusters, in my opinion. Even though it seems like James Cameron lately with Avatar and Titanic, I think that Steven Spielberg, in my opinion, is on another level. What do you guys think?
I agree with
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I would put him over James Cameron any day of the week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for me loving Quentin Tarantino, Spielberg would probably be my favorite director, I think.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
I think there's a case to be made for both directors.
Right.
I think they have both changed the movie industry significantly. I think that Steven Spielberg used to be better, but I feel like after the 21st century, like the turn of the 21st century, I think James Cameron has surpassed him.
Yeah, there's a few other directors that seem to have surpassed him. They're different directors, though. You know, when you talk about like Tarantino and Spielberg and even James Cameron, I think they do different things. Spielberg seems to have a good variety. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, like in his filmography, you mean?
yeah, I think compared to the other two, Cameron and Tarantino, I do feel like Spielberg kind of tries to do different things. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
he's got like historic like he'll put out a movie like Schindler's List,
Right.
and then like a like soon after he puts out like Jurassic Park, or
Mm-hmm.
around the same time. So it's just, and like Saving Private Ryan's my favorite movie of his, and I mean it's just like it's just crazy. Like he's got a movie in every genre, it seems like. So it's pretty neat.
And he's got a classic in every genre, right? Like E.T., when you want to talk about family movie, you got E.T. And then, in my opinion, although it wasn't critically acclaimed, one of my favorite movies is Hook. And he did Hook, and then Schindler's List and Jurassic Park, all in the same, and that's like three different genres, in my opinion. You got the drama, you got the blockbuster, and you got the family movie. You know, and he's just so good at all of them. He can do all of it. I kind of miss his movies. Does that make sense? Like,
Yes,
the movies he does nowadays, it's different. It's not the same.
I'm well aware that he was nominated for an Oscar a few years ago,
Right.
but I really don't think he's made like a movie of that level this century.
Yeah. You're right. One of the, I think, last like really great movies that he made, and I mean like something that really sticks with me, was Catch Me If You Can. Did you guys ever watch Catch Me If You Can?
I have not, but I've heard it's really good.
It's
Yeah, same.
fantastic. And that's another different genre. That's more of a comedy. And he doesn't do it quite well usually, but that's just such a good movie. You have Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio playing off of each other so well. I really encourage you guys to watch it if you can. I mean, it's really good. But getting back to the topic here, Jurassic Park. I mean, where would you guys rank this among his movies?
Probably number one.
Probably it's top 5.
Top
I
5.
think.
Obviously.
Yeah, I'd agree with Tyler. I think it's about top 5.
Okay, yeah. I'd put it top 5 also. I think it definitely stands out. Would you put it ahead of E.T.?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you put it ahead of Jaws?
Yes.
Yeah.
You think it's a better movie than Jaws?
Yes. 100%.
Okay.
The one thing that I think separates it is Jurassic Park still looks good today. Jaws does not.
Yeah.
But
that's
Jaws
fair.
still has that like classic '90s movie feel to it,
It does.
Yeah.
more so than Jurassic Park does. I feel like, but I still like Jurassic Park more.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Another thing that I think he does well, is he does well working with child actors. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
in this movie we have Joe Mazzello,
Mhm.
who makes an. I didn't realize he was still acting, but he was in Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, wow.
He
I like
played.
that movie a lot too.
Yeah. So he got the Jurassic Park role after auditioning for Hook. So he had auditioned for Hook to play one of the kids, Robin Williams' kids, but he was too young for that part. But Steven Spielberg still really liked his audition, so he said, "Don't worry, Joey, I'm gonna get you in a movie this summer," and that ended up being Jurassic Park.
Okay.
So you think about E.T., And then you think about like Hook and Jurassic Park, where he works with child actors. And I think that his movies have some of the best child acting, especially Jurassic Park. What do you guys think?
I
Yeah,
agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
especially the little. I don't know who plays the girl, but the girl and the boy are both really good in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, yeah, and you have to be a really good director. It's a specific director that works with child actors. You know what I mean? So, some other things. Wayne Knight. Do you guys know who Wayne Knight is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
The IT guy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's in this movie. I thought his character was pretty funny. Definitely deserved to die. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
that scene was one of the first scenes. Like I actually saw that scene where he died, like in the car, and like it always freaked me out as a kid because I'm watching. It's like, oh, this is a little nice dinosaur, and then he turns and it's like all frilled up and hissing at him. I was like, oh, that's freaky.
yeah, I think that's one of the scare. In fact, in my opinion, that's the scariest scene in the movie
yeah, I
for
would
me.
agree. It used to terrify me when I was a kid.
Yeah, the thing because it's like a little cute dinosaur, and then it just turns terrifying, and that's one of my worst nightmares. Is something that appears to be innocent that just is there to kill you. So that's kind of scary. Another smaller part, not a main character. Samuel L. Jackson's in this movie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He does a good job in the movie too. I think him and Wayne Knight have an interesting dynamic in the movie. Now, the person who plays the owner of Jurassic Park, Richard Attenborough is the name of the actor, okay? Now,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this, but not only was he an actor, he is also a director, a very
Yeah.
well-known director. And he was actually a politician. I didn't know that.
Quite the resume.
Right. He directed...
He
Go ahead.
well, he directed Gandhi. Didn't
Yeah.
He? Yeah.
Uh-huh. He won Best Director for Gandhi. So, and then he was an actor too. That's just one thing I wanted to bring out. A lot of people don't know that Richard Attenborough was actually a director. So that was really cool. What do you guys think about this as would you guys classify this movie as more of a horror or a thriller?
Thriller.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. I think it's like because like Wikipedia lists it as like action adventure, like sci-fi. So I think it's like could be mainly classified as like science fiction, but it's got enough elements of horror and thriller in it that I think anybody can enjoy it. Like it's got stuff for people who really like horror, and then it's got stuff for like science fiction buffs, right?
Yeah. Anything else you guys appreciate about the movie that we haven't been able to talk about?
I really like how, like, he does it not only in Jurassic Park, but he does it in Jaws too. How he like uses the camera to like show the point of view of the dinosaurs or of the shark, but it doesn't actually show them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
like one of my favorite things about both movies, and you can see it in both.
Yep. So my favorite character in this movie is Jeff Goldblum.
Same.
I think that you can argue this is probably his best role or his most iconic role. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
I'd say second,
I definitely think so.
only behind Independence Day.
Really?
Yes.
Why? Why do you think his role in Independence Day is
know
better?
Why? I just love him in Independence Day. He's got a different swagger to him or something.
Interesting. That's interesting that you say that. Because I think that he's more iconic in this movie. I think that he does a better job, but obviously everyone has
Good in both.
Right, yeah.
It'd be a good debate.
So, I don't know if you guys know this, but there was actually supposed to be a different ending in this movie.
I know that there was, but I can't remember what it was supposed to be.
Okay, so the original ending, one of the raptors was going to get pierced by a rib from the T-Rex skeleton, and then the other would have been hit by the skeleton falling, the jaw from the skeleton.
Yeah.
And so the ending didn't change until they actually got to shooting it. And the crew members came up to Steven Spielberg and felt like it was a little underwhelming. So that's how we got the ending that we got today, with the whole banner coming down and the iconic ending. In my opinion, I think it's really iconic.
I do too.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's one of those. It's just one of those scenes, that works. Another thing is, so in the book, this movie is based off a book. A lot of movies are.
Yeah.
This one's based off a novel. Now, Malcolm, the character that Jeff Goldblum plays, in the book he wasn't very heroic, and in the movie, the script, he wasn't supposed to be either. But Jeff Goldblum decided differently. So remember the scene where he grabs like the flare, and he like
Yes.
gets the dinosaur away from the children? That was actually his idea to do that.
Okay, I didn't realize that. That's neat.
Right. So I think that kind of makes him a legendary character. I think that helps make him what he is today.
It definitely helps this case against my argument for Independence Day.
So some more fun facts. I'm gonna go through a bunch here, and I want to hear what you guys think. So you remember Samuel L. Jackson? We find out he. If you guys haven't seen the movie, spoilers, of course. Um, uh, you find out that he dies. Do you remember when Laura Dern finds his hand, basically?
Yep,
And
that
only
was
his
another.
hand?
That was another scene that I saw before I saw the movie. Like when I was young, that kind of scarred me a little.
That one was. That's a scary scene.
Oh yeah.
He was actually supposed to have a scene that showed his death. He was going to have an actual death scene, and he was going to be chased by raptors and torn to shreds. But I don't know if you guys knew this. This movie they were filming in Hawaii, which I think it makes you want to go to Hawaii
Oh yeah.
watching the movie. But they had a horrible hurricane. Yeah, it devastated a lot of the set, and it changed a lot of their plans, and they actually had to scrap that scene partially because of the hurricane and the damage that it did. So we didn't get to see the death scene. He was gonna fly out and shoot it, Samuel Jackson, but he wasn't able to. So we didn't get a death scene. So it's kind of cool how how things originally are supposed to be planned, and then like outside elements can change the way a movie is, and sometimes it works in the favor of the movie.
Yeah, I think so. I think that I kind of like it because, like, if you had that scene, then you'd be like, oh, you'd be kind of looking for him to be dead. You know what I mean? I
Right.
like the reveal. I think that makes the reveal of the arm even more like freakier. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Um, so you imagine this dinosaur we talked about. Um, so I said it was 12,000 pounds. Some people say it's even more than that, up to 15,000 pounds. Um, but that's a dangerous animatronic, right? Because it's so big and it moves. So they had to have safety meetings because think about it. What if someone gets stuck under it or it fell on someone? Someone said that when the dinosaur would run past them and they like especially if it was leaning down and the head just goes right by you, they said it felt like a bus driving by. So that's how fast it's going, which is amazing that they were able to do that. But that's a dangerous dinosaur, and I thought that was a pretty cool fun fact that I found. What do you guys think?
That's
Well,
that's very interesting.
I mean, I think that when you were first kind of telling us about the animatronic and like how much it weighed and all like the dimensions and stuff, I was
Right.
like, I bet that'd be fun to operate. But then I was like, oh, well, they had to deal with rain and oh, they could kill people actually with it on set. So yeah, that probably wouldn't be that fun to operate. I'd probably be a nervous wreck if I had to operate that. I think.
Yeah. Um, we talked about James Cameron earlier on the show. I don't know if you guys knew this, but he actually wanted to direct this movie.
It wouldn't surprise me. I think it would fit the normal type of movie he makes.
But how much different do you think it would have been?
I don't think it would have been successful.
You don't think so?
I think it could have been.
Successful. I think it would have been successful, but not.
Because James Cameron had the Terminator movies around that time as
Right.
well.
I think it might have been darker had he directed it.
I think it would have been darker, but it would have been more action adventure than thriller, in my opinion. I don't know. I mean, he did do the Aliens movies, the second one, Aliens, plural. So, I mean, that was more of an action adventure than Alien, which is more of a horror, right? So,
Mhm.
I think that's what he would have done with Jurassic Park, is more action adventure than thriller. And I just
Yeah.
don't think it would have worked as well, you know? Wayne Knight, the guy, he gets, we talked about the scene already. He actually wanted a gorier death.
Sheesh.
He wanted to get decapitated. And in
Oh
Oh,
my.
the book, he got decapitated. So
oh
that's why
wow!
he
I didn't
wanted
know
that. Yeah, but,
Well, props to him for wanting to go along with the book.
yeah.
Yeah, I can respect that.
So, the cast, guys, and we talked about, some of the smaller roles, and we talked about Jeff Goldblum. But Sam Neill and Laura Dern do great in their own right. They fit well. Can you imagine a different cast? Would you want to see a different cast if they, in another universe or dimension?
I think the only one that could be replaced and not hurt the movie is the woman.
Laura,
Yeah, is that her name?
Laura Dern.
Laura Dern.
Oh yeah, Laura. I think you could replace her and the quality not suffer that much, but I feel like you can't replace Jeff Goldblum or
Sam Neill.
yeah. I don't feel like you could replace either of them. I don't feel like you could replace Richard Attenborough or Wayne Knight or Samuel Jackson even.
Yeah.
I really like the fact that, and I read something because I did a little research, not much, but I did rewatch it and everything. But I did read something where, and if you look up his filmography before this, this was Sam Neill's first big starring role in a blockbuster, because he's from New Zealand, right?
Mhm.
And at the time, he was unknown, so to be put in this big giant movie at the time was kind of a little strange, you know what I mean? Because nobody
Yeah.
really. So it's a pretty inspired casting choice. But it's funny looking back. Most people, a lot of people know who Sam Neill is, and I mean, I think Alan Grant is just a really awesome character. I wish he was in more movies, because he's just in the third one after this, which is hot garbage, by the way,
Mhm.
or at least I think so.
Mhm.
But I wish we saw more of him. I think he does a good job.
So obviously, when you're casting a movie, you're not gonna get everyone you want, or you have to make some changes based on people's schedules, things like that, right? So I want to hear your opinions. Steven Spielberg was looking at Harrison Ford for Alan Grant, of course, Indiana Jones himself.
Oh, that 100% could have worked.
I could totally see that. Yeah.
It could have worked, but I like the way that ended up.
I think I would, honestly, this is one of the few choices where I would say I might have preferred that. Honestly, I might have preferred Harrison Ford in that role. Although
Really?
we wouldn't get Sam Neill, who I think is, good in his own right. You know what I mean? Like we wouldn't have probably heard about him. Hopefully he would have found another good movie, but I don't think he's really been in much anyways. I mean, has he been in that many really good big movies?
Not really.
I don't.
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah. So
He pops up from time to time.
Right.
But it's nothing it's nothing like this. This is definitely far and away his most famous role.
yeah, I would have loved to see it. And then although it is 93, so Harrison Ford's a little older. I think I would want to see a 80s with Harrison Ford,
Yeah.
preferably. William Hurt, he was also looking at. I don't know if you guys know who that is.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so he was looked at. And then for Ellie Sattler, Laura Dern's role, he was looking at Robin Wright from Forrest Gump and Princess Bride.
No.
Oh yeah, no, I could see that.
I could see it, but I know I just said that Laura Dern could be replaced, but I feel like she would have been better than Robin Wright.
Yeah, and then Juliette Binoche, I think is how you
Oh,
pronounce it.
Hmm.
I don't know if I could see her. Maybe. I mean, you say she's getting replaced. She could be replaced. I guess I could see it, but it is what it is. And then Sean Connery for John Hammond, the Richard Attenborough
my.
role. What do you guys
Yes.
think about that?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that would have worked.
No.
What? I would have freaking loved that. Because it'd be a different role for him, right? Because he's used to playing people that you're supposed to root for, right? Like James Bond and Indiana Jones's dad. But then, Hammond's a pretty sketchy guy. You know what I mean? So it'd be kind of neat.
He's more of
That'd be a neat
he's
role
a
for him,
greedy
I think.
guy.
Right.
Wants money.
Not necessarily horrible person, but just someone who's money drives most of what they do.
So if James Cameron made the movie, we have the cast actually.
Okay.
All right, here. I want to hear what you have to say. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No, that would be bad.
Was this Terminator with dinosaurs?
I'm
Would've
not
been funny.
joking. I'm not joking. I mean, he had worked with him already a couple times, obviously. So
I feel like it would have been a lot campier had he
Oh,
been
yeah.
in it.
Yep, definitely more action than thriller for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of want to see it now with him in it.
Listen, I love Arnold, but I don't think that's right for that movie.
I just thought that was hilarious. And then Ian Malcolm's role, it would have been Bill Paxton.
Yep. That I think honestly, that is like I mean, I would never replace Jeff Goldblum in that role, but if I had to, like gun to my head, had to, then it'd be Bill Paxton because I think they're both pretty funny, just likable guys. So I think they'd bring that same kind of presence to the role. I think.
Yeah, I think that could have definitely worked. I think, like Luke said, if I had to replace Jeff Goldblum with anybody, it'd probably be him.
But him and Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think, would have been really interesting. And then as John Hammond, he was going to have Charlton Heston, the Charlton Heston. I mean, he would have been. I don't know. I really don't know. So, we talked about Schindler's List, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, he was making these movies, I guess, around the same time. So he did post-production on Jurassic Park at the same time that he was filming Schindler's List. Okay. He was having a hard time because, throughout Schindler's List, basically the movie made him very depressed, right? It was taking a toll on him emotionally. So he literally, and juggling those two movies at the same time didn't help, of course. He had a lot on his plate. So he actually needed like an hour break from filming, in between filming and answering questions about digital dinosaurs and all of that. He needed an hour break just to kind of take a break, collect himself here, which is interesting to say the least. Can you imagine? I mean, those are two iconic movies, really.
They are.
That's got to be some of one of the hardest points of his life, though. The stresses of being a director really come through there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think it says a lot about his talent that both movies are classics in their respective genres.
Yeah.
That they were still so good.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine doing that. That's just crazy. But I mean, he's Steven Spielberg.
That's true.
Did you guys know that Robin Williams, who worked with him on Hook, Steven Spielberg was having such a hard time on Schindler's List emotionally that Robin Williams would literally call him up and just tell him jokes to improve his mood on set.
I love that guy.
I miss him so
I do
much.
too.
Yeah.
He was awesome.
Yeah, we talk about him in, I think, one of our first episodes, if you guys haven't listened. But there was a feud between Robin Williams and the Disney head at the time of animation, Jeffrey Katzenberg, during the shooting of Aladdin. And Jeffrey Katzenberg ended up opening up DreamWorks with Steven Spielberg, which I thought was interesting. But yeah. Oh, so I did want to talk about this real quick. And we've mentioned it, sprinkled it throughout. But we talked about the sequels, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, Jurassic Park is number one. I think we can all agree on that, right? As far as the whole franchise. Where would you put number? What would you put number two?
The Lost World.
Anyone else disagree with that?
I would maybe put Jurassic World over The Lost World.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Wait.
kind of thinking of the original sequels. I kind of count Jurassic World and this thing as a separate entity.
You think so? Would you put it ahead of Lost World though, if you put them together?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Yeah.
See, for me, I think Jurassic Park is just far and away like the best out of all. I mean, I don't even think it's close. And I think if they never made any sequels, like if this wasn't a series, of course, they were going to make sequels when it made so much money. But I think it could have just been like a standalone thing, and it'd still be just as good. Which is why I was surprised that The Lost World is so good, because like it wasn't necessary. It's like something I didn't know I needed, right? So I really like both of those movies. But other than that, I hate. I mean, I'm telling you. I mean, it's my least favorite in the franchise. I think the third movie is just hot garbage.
Yeah. What do
And
you not
then,
like about it?
oh, I mean, so much. I could spend an entire other hour talking about it. Mainly, there's no human antagonist in it. You know, the other
Yeah.
movies kind of had that. You know, and it always deals with like kind of greed and like scientists going too far.
Mm-hmm.
And nope, in this movie, so like I'll just talk real quick about it.
Sure.
So yeah, I'll go pretty quick.
Tangent.
Yeah, right. The so like the premise of this movie is Alan Grant is like, so first off, you know, him and Ellie Sattler are a good couple, and then you start this movie off and you're like, oh, this couple that you cared about from the first movie, they're not together anymore. She's married to
I
somebody
hate
else.
when they do that.
I hate it. Yeah. So that instantly rubs me the wrong way. Of course, Sam Neill's great again, and Laura Dern's in like one scene, but she's not bad. She does a good job, of course. But yeah. So like the premise of this movie is there's this couple who their son gets lost on on the island, right? And um, they hire they hire Alan Grant to take them on the island and find their son. Of course, Alan Grant doesn't want to go back to the island. So they're like, we can just get him to go for all kinds of money. So they lie and say that they're like millionaires and they want him to take them on an aerial tour of the island. So they trick Alan Grant and all these other people to going on the island, and it leads to all of these people dying, just about. So I'm like, oh, so they're supposed to be like the human antagonist, right? Nope, you're supposed to root for them. Like they try to make you care about them, and I'm like, listen, I get your son was lost, but like all these people are dying because you lied to them. You're very unlikable people, and and I don't like that Alan Grant is like, you know, this guy from the first movie. He like really cares about dinosaurs. He's knowledgeable about them, and like he's, you know, passionate about all this stuff. And in this movie, his motivation is, oh, they're going to give me a big check. That's all I care about now. All I care about is money.
Yeah.
So they ruin his character, and also they use way too much CGI. Like Tyler was saying, how the first Jurassic Park, or how, you know, we all were saying how the first Jurassic Park is, you know, uses CGI and practical effects in amazing ways. And this movie, it's all just, there's like close-ups of CGI dinosaurs, and it came out in like 2001, like early 2000s,
Yeah.
and it doesn't hold up. It looks really, the CGI just isn't good anymore. So again, I could talk for way longer, but I won't. But I hate that movie so much. But yeah,
I hear you. I hear you. So yeah, but that one is not Steven Spielberg directed. You can kind of tell.
yeah, oh yeah,
I don't think you would let a lot of that fly as far as story wise. I think he was a producer on it, so maybe he did allow it. But yeah, it's a bummer. It's definitely, it reminds me of when you talk about the couple breaking up. Did you guys ever see the two Mall Cop movies?
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. We
so-
have like a whole episode on the podcast about it.
Right.
We
Oh,
did.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I totally blanked on that. So the second movie just ruins it from the beginning. That she like leaves him a week. It was like a week after the wedding or something like that. Just because they couldn't get the actors to come on board for the second movie, I was just like, that's the lamest. Like that's so lazy. You know what I mean? Like that's the best you
Yeah.
can come up with. That just ruins the movie for me. And then they kill his grandma at the beginning, or his mom, right? Anyways, they kill her. She gets hit by a bus at the beginning of the second movie. Did you guys see the second one?
I forgot that happened, and now that's so hilarious in an increasingly morbid way.
The second Mall Cop movie is like probably the most forgettable movie I've ever watched because I don't
It's so
really I don't remember. Like I know he like goes to a different mall and like a different
He goes to
state,
like a
I think.
casino in Vegas or something like that.
casino in Vegas.
So he's not even a freaking mall cop anymore.
I
So
know.
why are they calling him mall cop?
It's the laziest attempt at a sequel. They should have never done it, or they should have just put him at a bigger mall like Mall of America. You know,
Yeah.
if they wanted to
That
make a
would have been
sequel.
cool.
I know
That would.
exactly. That was my idea for the sequel. They didn't listen to me.
I know Ray mentioned when we did our episode on it, he wanted them to see, like, to use more of the mall, and doing it like the Mall of America would have totally done that because it's so big.
Yeah. So that was a bummer. But that's just what it reminded me of. Now the Jurassic World movies. Have you guys seen the latest one, the sequel?
Yep.
Yes.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty
The problem with it for me is it's just so boring. You know? Like, I was so bored. I got it. I didn't even watch it in the theaters. I got it on Redbox, and I was just getting so restless. Like, I was basically like, it felt like a marathon because it was like, all right, let's get through this movie just so I can say I saw it. What do you guys think of the movie, like, overall?
It was so bad, honestly.
It was just, to me, it was just a money grab.
Yeah,
I was not entertained by it at all, honestly.
exactly.
I just really don't like it. I think it's honestly, and I'm not exaggerating. I think it's one of the worst scripts for like a big budget Hollywood movie that I've ever heard. I mean, it's just some of the lines that make you want to laugh. Like some of the villains are so cartoony, and like the first part of the movie where they're on the island and they're trying to get the dinosaurs off of there because there's a volcano erupting. That stuff's kind of cool. You know what I mean? It's fun to see.
Right.
But like the second half of the movie, they're in like a mansion and underground. First off, how does that guy not hear everything going on in his basement? He just can't hear this giant auction going on. And then, the villains, they're the whole villain plan in that movie. I'm sure you guys remember is they're trying to sell dinosaurs to like leaders of all these like foreign countries, like to the highest bidder, and they're surprisingly affordable. They're like you could get like a T-Rex for like 20 million. I was like, I think it would be a lot more than that.
I would say at least a few billion in real life.
Like,
Yeah.
like oh yeah, like there's like aircraft carriers that cost way more than that. So it's just goofy. They're like, it's like whoever someone goes like $5 million for like a Triceratops, and I'm like, what the crap is happening right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie's only there to set up dinosaurs being in the United States for the third movie. That's it. It's just like a placeholder movie.
Which they already did in The Lost World, right?
Yeah, the next sequel, like, that's what they're trying to do. Like, you know how the Disney Star Wars movies, like The Force Awakens was kind of like A New Hope. I feel like they're trying to do it the same way.
But see, the problem is no one likes the Jurassic Park sequels.
True.
Right.
They still make a ton of money, so.
And I don't know why they're trying to get dinosaurs in the United States, because to me, the worst part of The Lost World, which I really like, is that weird 15 minutes at the end where the T-Rex is like, oh, I'm in San Diego. And he's like, oh, I'll just get back in the cargo hold. I'm done now. It's like so pointless. I hated that scene. That was like, it was real tacked on. So I'm like, they're taking the worst part of that movie and trying to expand it. And I really don't like it.
Right, yeah. Now, they did say that, what do you guys think about this? The original cast from the first movie is all coming back, as far as the main three. Do you think that'll help the movie? Do you think it'll make a difference?
I think it'll bring
know.
back some fan service.
I didn't know that.
I think it's just gonna be like Star Wars, the new ones.
Yeah.
I think they'll just be kind of there and not actually used very well in the story.
Well, so they interviewed, I think it was Jeff Goldblum. He said that they were basically going to be main characters in this one, not just cameos like he was in the second one. That they were actually going to be basically alongside Chris Pratt as far as main characters, which I think does make a difference. But again,
that would help.
With the latest Star Wars movies, the original characters were pretty much main characters and didn't help the story necessarily. It depends on what they do with them.
It could be better if they're actually main characters as opposed to just cameos. Like if they're actually written to have a part in the story, it could be better.
If the story's bad, though, what's the point?
Right.
That's true, though. It just depends.
And I think that is another thing that makes me dislike Fallen Kingdom so much, is because like the trailer has Jeff Goldblum in it, like a lot. You know what I mean? Like his line where he's like, "Welcome to Jurassic World" is like in the trailer. So we're like, oh, and like they marketed it as like Ian Malcolm's back. And I was like, heck yeah. And oh, he's in 2 scenes. It's like a cameo at the beginning and the end of the movie. So the marketing for that movie sucks too.
Well, it definitely got you excited, so I don't know.
Well,
Think
yeah.
about it, it's actually good, Luke.
I mean, I guess, but like, okay. So I did its job, but it's a little misleading.
Right, right. No, I know what you're saying. I just think that was good marketing for a bad movie.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
False
Yeah. That's fair.
advertisement.
You
And I
know?
mean, it made over $1 billion, so I mean, it worked.
I think these are guaranteed now to make at least $1 billion a pop. You know,
Yeah.
but as long as I think it has. You have to tell people it's a trilogy. Does that make sense? Like, if you said that there's going to be 10 of these, I don't think they make as much money each. If people knew that, does that
I
make
know
sense?
what you're saying. Yeah.
Like, you got to keep it at a trilogy if you want to. You
Nobody's
can't.
gonna want to keep coming back watching each 10 of the movies if they're
Right.
not good. Only
Yeah.
3.
I know it's a guaranteed billion as long as you keep it at a trilogy. You'll make your money, you know. But
Put Chris Pratt in there. You're good to go.
yeah, I like Chris Pratt. You
I
know,
love Chris Pratt.
I
he's
do
a great
too, yeah.
actor, and I think it was so weird seeing his character from Parks and Rec in a movie like Jurassic World.
Yeah.
That was just so weird to me, but whatever. Yeah, before we end, I wanted to give you guys a chance to plug your show again. Let people
Oh.
know what you guys do, you know.
Yeah, so if you've enjoyed our appearance on this show, you can head over to the Cinebros podcast. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts. We, like I said earlier, we're a movie debate show, but we also do other types of content. Our latest episode is, again, like I mentioned earlier, just telling movie theater stories. So if you enjoy just kind of 3 guys chatting it up, telling stories from their past, then you'll probably like this one. You can find us on any social media, Cinebros Podcast on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, Cinebros P on Twitter. We have our own subreddit at r/Cinebros Podcast, and we have our own YouTube channel if you prefer video format called Cinebros with a yellow reel icon.
Awesome. No, and also Logan and I were on an episode recently, right?
Yes, we discussed Edward Scissorhands. You can go and watch that. It's, again, anywhere that you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, that was fun. We talked about Edward Scissorhands and all things Tim Burton. So, yeah, check them out. They were really fun to be. It was awesome to be on their show, and I'm glad they took the time to come on this show. We appreciated having you. Too bad we couldn't have Logan with us, but he's scared of other people. He's very shy. So. But thank you guys for joining us. We had a blast talking about
Thanks for having us.
Jurassic Park, right? I'll be signing off. To everyone, whatever time you're listening at, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.